Hey everyone, my name is Lily and I'm the book blogger behind Utopia State of Mind, and today I'm bringing you the reading vlog for Daughter of Smoke and Bone. This was the book that you all picked for my August TBR of hyped books, and I have already started it. So in the footage you'll see kind of like reading checkpoints for me, and I've already filmed the first one, kind of like the first intro before reading it, and then the first check-in. And so I needed to put on makeup to do this intro, which is why everything's out of order. I hope that you enjoy my reading vlog-ish of my experience reading Daughter of Smoke and Bone. Hey, so I am just starting Daughter of Smoke and Bone right now. It is very bad lighting because it is really late, but I thought I would just start it. I realized that's backwards, but such. This is my copy. It is a paperback copy that someone gave me like ages ago, and I don't even remember when or what the circumstances was. But I'm gonna start this. I haven't even read the summary. All I did was add it to my currently reading shelf on Goodreads, and already I had seen some pretty polarizing views of the book. So I'm excited, but also very nervous. It is super hyped, and I hope that this goes well. But anyway, I'll be doing check-ins basically throughout this whole reading process, and then doing like a final kind of, update video at the end. So this is, I guess, my first check-in of all of them. So I know that I said that I would film like an intro basically after starting, but then I spent most of my day sleeping and watching Kong Skull Island, so thanks, Kate. But I'm now sitting down to read more of Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and I just wanted to document some of my thoughts for the first quarter because I am not going to get out of my pajamas to film like a proper thing, but I promise I will do it before like my next section, essentially. But it's interesting to approach this series and this book not from a perspective of someone who didn't know anything about like the book at all. I didn't really even read the summary, but had been introduced to it through fandom and book boxes and sub boxes basically. So it's like when I was reading it, and there'll be spoilers for it, like not maybe not big plot spoilers, but at least in this section, I don't really have enough to spoil. But I was reading the first section, and they were talking about the poison kitchen, and I realized, oh, I have a keychain that says the poison kitchen. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. And also I was like, oh, this person has blue hair, and I realized that I feel like I've seen a lot of fandom stuff for Laini. Is this Laini Taylor? Yeah, for Laini Taylor, with someone who has blue hair. And I sincerely thought it was Strange the Dreamer. Oh wait, it must have been okay. So I got the main character of this one. I think her name is Karu. She has blue hair, confused with the character from Strange the Dreamer who is blue but with red hair. I think I haven't read Strange the Dreamer either, but anyway, that's been one of my things. I've so far really enjoyed the magical world. I feel like it's intriguing to have this kind of portal fantasy meets underground market like fantasy, but also there's very clearly kind of like a dark edge to the magic, right, with the teeth and all of that kind of stuff. And so far, as I said, I'm only about a quarter through. I'm basically just kind of taking everything in. I like the world a lot, and the character is really interesting, even though I feel like sometimes the fantasy main characters are just so good at everything, right? So she's a really great artist, and it's just like, maybe this is my own envy at not being artistically talented, but I'm kind of just like, oh, of course she would be a fantastic artist. But yeah, so generally I'm liking it so far, but I haven't really read enough to know how I feel about the world definitively or the character. I've also gotten to the part basically just where like the intrigue ramps up. I would say almost like a cliffhanger when I finished. I think I finished around the end of chapter 13, in case anyone wants to know. And so now that I'm starting my reading for the next portion, so the second quarter, I guess, I assume the action will kind of take off and there'll be a lot of intrigue and a lot of suspense. And yeah, that was kind of like a mini check-in for how I feel already, since I promised in my subscribers pick my TBR video that this would be more of like a reading vlog-esque. I will try to film more portions of me reading and like things like that, and not just kind of reactions like I did for the Shadow and Bone trilogy, but no promises, because as I said today, I just slept and watched a movie about a giant gorilla. So, I'll see you in the next part. So while I have makeup on, let me just talk about my feelings about the first half of Daughter and Smoke and Bone. I don't have my notes in front of me, so we're gonna have to do this with kind of my memory. Also, there will be spoilers. We're getting into spoiler territory because half the book is done. So, I want to talk first about the fact that after my first check-in, between my first one and this one, the world has kind of exploded. So basically, we're knowing more about this Angel character, and we know more about Karu, although we don't know that much about Karu. So far, I really like the world and the characters and the magic and stuff still. That was one of my first impressions from the first part. But I think that so far, for reference, by the way, I just finished chapter 29. For me, what has been the most interesting is like how ruthless Caro can be. I also don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but I really like it. I like that, you know, she's not afraid to be a little bit ruthless. She's not like super kind of let the streets flow with blood ruthless, but she's like, okay, I need these coins, and sorry, hashtag sorry, not sorry, essentially. But she's also not like, I'm gonna kill you, right? So I feel like it's a middle ground of ruthlessness. But I will say that having just finished 29, I feel very thrown for a loop. It's like, I thought that they were enemies, but now at the end of 29, and I think really basically in 28 and 29, he like doesn't want to kill her anymore. So I'm very skeptical basically of that new kind of, I don't know, new adventure, new I don't know if it's an improvement, but new revelation. I don't know how I feel about it as well. I liked that they were like kind of evenly matched in a sense, and also going up against each other head to head. So now that they're not, I'm a little bit like, is this really gonna be how it's gonna be? But I do like that she's kind of slowly getting more answers about who she is. And also, I guess when she had the tattoos on her hand, I kind of was under the assumption, maybe you were too, that she got the tattoos herself, but it seems kind of like they're magical tattoos. So I don't know, it would be really fun to do cosplays for that. And I've also seen these like hand tattoo pins around. So, you know, as I said in the first part of my reading reaction, I'm like slowly digesting more and more information about the world based on the fandom merch that I've seen, essentially. So in general, I still like it. I'm holding off my reservations because of the new development, because I don't really like it, to be honest. I feel like it makes more sense for them to be in opposition, being as I'm pretty sure he kind of just set fire to her whole kind of pseudo family house. So I feel like that's kind of like an opposition kind of thing to do. If anything, it's not very nice to do. So yeah, I'm about halfway through. Tonight I hopefully will read about another quarter, so then I'll be 3/4 of the way through. I'm trying to get some footage of me actually reading, but I read at night, and because I read at night, the lighting is so bad. So hopefully I can read the next portion, so tomorrow's portion, during the day, so I can at least have one shot of me reading so you know that I'm not just like putting the book to my head osmosis style. But yeah, so far, not sure how I feel about it. I feel like if I had to do a trend kind of how I feel about it so far, it was kind of a very firm up, but tentatively. And now I'm kind of plateauing where I don't know if I feel really good or really bad about it. So I don't know. I didn't look at the reviews from my friends on Goodreads for this book, but like in the 1 second that I did see that some of my friends had DNF'd it, and I kind of feel like if I didn't care, if I wasn't doing this for you, I kind of would maybe, because it just seems like such a 180, honestly, about the switch in perspective for that dude. Oh, who what is his name? I think his name is Akiva, sorry, I just looked it up, not Akira. So yeah, I don't know how I feel so far. It's, we'll just see how the rest of it goes. Now that I finally have makeup on and could film an intro, and now this part, and so hopefully we'll just see. Hey everyone, I'm now doing my 3rd check-in for Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I am, for reference, just finished chapter 46. It's kind of like the 3rd part of the book, I guess. I love that 47 is called Evanescence, which brings back all the nostalgia. But I wanted to talk about some of my thoughts before I finish the book, hopefully tonight. Fingers crossed. And so I think that my biggest confusion in this part is that, like, she's gone 180 from there being enemies to now they're not enemies and they kind of love each other. I have a lot of notes where it's kind of just, I wouldn't be satisfied with the amount of answers that he gives her for me to let my guard down. And I know that they have this kind of connection that they can't really explain, neither of them really understands, which goes back into kind of the revelations of the last few chapters that I read, so like 43 through I guess 46, about maybe like a past life situation, which I don't really know about because I haven't finished the book yet, but like a reincarnation, or maybe her memories were taken away. I'm not really sure, one of those two. So I understand that they're supposed to have this like explanation for this connection that they're supposed to have just like randomly, but for me, I'm a little skeptical. I'm a little skeptical because not only is she and him, like, are Karu and Avika enemies right now because he like burned her house essentially down, her pseudo home down, but also it seems that even if she was a reincarnated of this other person, this like MAGA blah 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 person, that they were also still enemies. So I understand this kind of enemies to lovers, literally opposite side enemies to lovers, but I feel like we don't, at least for me, I don't get a good enough sense about the conflict between them. To me, it just seems very much like oh, we came in and we did all these things for them, and they should have like done anything we wanted to, and then since they had the gall to revolt, now we have to persecute them. I don't love that. So I don't know, I'm just kind of confused about that situation, the actual conflict between the Chimera and the Seraphim. And so for me, it kind of seems, I'm not buying the enemies to lovers thing at the moment, just because I don't know enough why they're enemies or like the progression of their relationship. For me, this one just seems very like insta-love like, and so hopefully in the next portion it will explain who she is, because apparently Avika knows, or Akiva, sorry, I keep saying Avika. Akiva knows what she is and like who she is, but he hasn't really just outwardly said it. He's just like, oh, break this bone and then you'll know. And it's kind of like, well, you could say something, anything really. You don't have to just be all like, trust the magic. And so yeah, I think in general my skepticism for this 3rd part specifically is all relating to do that, where I'm just kind of like, my skepticism is basically just not really understanding the relationship that they have, and also not really understanding the relationship that Akiva and the M person, I can't remember her name, but the M person had in their past. So yeah, I'm kind of just skeptical of it, and I also feel like the pacing has been a little bit like stop and start-ish. I feel like there's a kind of a long way to get to where we are, and now I'm not sure where we are pacing-wise. I know this is the beginning of a trilogy, I think. Yeah, because the next one is Days of Blood and Starlight. So yeah, I understand this is the beginning of a trilogy, but just in general, I'm not sure how I feel about it particularly, and so I'm intrigued to know if other people kind of stop reading at this point as well, and I will just keep on reading, I guess, and see what happens. I'm really close to the end. I'm about 100 pages from the end, so I can do it. Hey everyone, so this is my last check-in and final thoughts, I guess, for Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I don't really know what to think, so obviously this section will be the most spoiler heavy because it's the end of Daughter of Smoke and Bone. So, okay, for me, the feelings that I had for the first half were a lot of confusion and a lot of like, why are they being so insta-lovey? I don't mind, but it's always hinted at, you know? It's not just that it just is a fact and like that's the attraction that they have. It's like, oh, we're instantly attracted to each other, but there's something familiar, right? So there's that hint of intrigue, that hint of mystery. So basically, obviously, in the last half, it is revealed that she is like this resurrected Madrigal. That was her, like, a resurrected name. Or, I mean, that was her name, and now she's resurrected as Karu, which I think is how you pronounce it, but who really knows? So, I mean, that was the twist that kind of made everything be like, oh yeah. And I also feel like in the last half of the book, you get more of Madrigal's point. I'm pretty sure her name is Madrigal. Yeah, Madrigal's point of view and what happened to her, and kind of what happened also to Akiva in the past. And so I get that that's supposed to be this kind of like, oh my god, big climactic, what is going on moment. But for me, I kind of figured that she was resurrected, or like a thing of a person from his past life. I wasn't sure if it was resurrected, it could have been amnesia or a curse or like something magical essentially. But I kind of figured that she would be something from his past. And then it was confirmed, and it was, oh, we have this instant connection because you're my past romantic partner person. And so for me, I just felt like that climax thing was like, oh, yeah, I kind of guessed that. And then also, I really enjoyed having Madrigal's POV, not POV directly, but kind of her story. But at the same time, I was like, I really like Karu better than Madrigal. I think that Karu is a much more interesting character because she has the experiences growing up as human, and I think that that just makes her a little bit more keyed in, I guess, to like feeling out of place and feeling like you're kind of stuck between things. And I know that this whole thing is kind of like enemies to lovers times 2, essentially, or times 1, depending on how you see it. But yeah, I just felt like the twist was not as twisty as I thought it was going to be, and also it ended for me on a very like weird note. I know that this is the first of a series, so obviously it's going to be expanded like Taffy in the next ones, I guess Days of Blood and Starlight, and whatever the third one is. But it also made me think about, okay, if there's a twist, and that twist is supposed to be responsible for you thinking, oh, okay, I get it now, all the confusion, all the questions, everything like that, I understand now. How do you then feel about the stuff before? Because I feel like for me, beforehand, I was feeling very kind of like, on the fence. I liked the world building. I like the world building a lot. I love this idea of door fantasies. It reminds me a lot of this kind of door portal fantasy that I read in The Wild Ones. But I liked the world, and I also kind of tentatively liked Karu. I'm not sure. I actually don't know how I feel about Akiva at all. He's just like not my type of person, basically. But mostly because he went like immediately, kind of as soon as he knew who he was, he basically treated her not so horribly, and it's kind of like you might want to just not treat people horribly in general, maybe. So I felt like that 180 at the time when I'm reading it was super kind of like whiplash. I did not know what was happening. But then obviously the twist is supposed to explain that. And so my question for you as watchers, readers, viewers, whatever, is when there's a twist like that, do you think then that the first, 50% is like worth it? I guess it depends on the twist, but I'm also wondering, like, when you're thinking about rating it and you think about, okay, yeah, but at the beginning I wasn't feeling so great about it, and then obviously I do because I know more about it. But for me, it's really hard to kind of silence the first half and the first half of my feelings, and you'll see in the check-ins, like, it's really hard for me to say, oh, okay, because I know now what's gonna happen, those feelings, like, it doesn't matter anymore. But for me, it's kind of like, that wasn't a great time. I just felt so confused, and kind of like the pace was really a little bit slow. It felt a little bit slow to me. And then obviously with the twist, then it like increases, and it's like, oh, you know what's kind of going on. And so for me, I think I'm gonna give this one a 3. I liked it, and there are things I liked about it. I'm really on the fence if I should read the sequel, Days of Blood and Starlight. So please let me know if, like, how you feel about the sequel. But yeah, for me, like, the world building and the things that I liked about Kaoru were enough. And also, like, even if he's the reincarnated past, person that you loved, he then also killed / burned / question mark, essentially, your conception of family and the people that you thought of as family, that you were trying to get back to, who you think are alive, but I guess they're not. Like, that's kind of rough, is in my opinion. So yeah, for me, it was hard to buy that romance between them, especially now knowing what happened to Kaoru and the Kiva, not necessarily Kiva and Madrigal. And so I know that that's kind of how Kaoru feels at the end, where she's kind of like, ooh, don't know how you feel. So at least it's not like, oh my god, whatever. I don't care that you burned my family down. But yeah, I just feel very kind of like in the middle on the fence about Daughter of Smoke and Bone. And yeah, I don't know how to feel about the next ones. And also I realized that, I only have this one, but I also realized that I was kind of using it as a test to see if I'd like it enough to then want to read Strange the Dreamer, which is also by Laini Taylor. I don't know. I just don't know. So I'm planning on doing another of these Choose My TBR videos. I've already thought of a bunch of titles that I want to do, but I won't tell you because I'll let you see that in the next video. But I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one, and I don't know if I'll continue. So I mean, my review will kind of delve into that as well, but it's not going to be any more cohesive than this is, just because I really just don't know how I feel. So yeah, sorry for this also anticlimactic ending. Some books just do that to you. So I'd really love to talk with other people who have read it so that I can kind of settle down more on my thoughts and kind of discuss, maybe even change my mind. I'm open to that. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts were about Daughter of Smoke and Bone. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I promise for the next Choose My TBR video, I will try to film footage of me reading. You don't really have any of that. I promise that I'm reading. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.